is what General Dunlap calls those in Congress and the Army who neglect technology and prepare to, quote, refight the last war. In this case, the current occupation of Iraq. He worries we're distracted from what really matters, building a military to fight flies while the vultures circle.
As much as we're concerned about a weapon of mass destruction getting into the hands of an individual terrorist or group, the fact of the matter is, as horrific as that would be, a few of those weapons are not going to destroy the United States. It would take a major state power to be able to do that. But we will see them resurging in the future, and we have to be prepared.
You take it easy, kid. Nice talking to you. All right, peace out. Get out, get out. Escalation of force.
What happened?
Just escalated on him.
As for insurgencies, Dunlap acknowledges we have to fight them, but says that what we can do with technology has fundamentally changed. Science now allows us to target enemies with deadly precision, as we see in this battlefield video. General Dunlap says when the United States provides the high technology, the native government's army can do the work on the ground.
I believe that we ought to leverage technology to do some of that counterinsurgency. My disagreement with the counterinsurgency manual was that it was based on historical studies, when quite frankly, air power's technology did not have all that much to offer.
You're talking about Vietnam, Malaysia, those kinds of battles.
Exactly, exactly. And what's happened, what's different now is what I call the precision revolution. It's a little bit unpopular these days to talk about high technology because it's equated with high-cost weapons. But the fact of the matter is, in my judgment, this country is a technological country. That's always been our strength. That's not to say that there's no role for boots on the ground. There's always going to be boots on the ground. But anything we can do to remove young Americans from being at the pointy end of the stick, I think, is a good thing, and we ought to look to do that. One of the things that I like about our reconnaissance capability is the enemy never knows whether he's being watched or not, or listened to, or how he's being tracked.
Yeah, what these guys got to do? He's looking around. Get the guy in the field. Get the guy in the field. Ryder, see this? Yep. I got a guy running, throwing a weapon. Smoke him. Hit him. Got him. Good. Second one. Hit the other one.
I want him to be worried all the time about what our capabilities might be. Because in a perfect world, what we do is we drive the Saddam Husseins in the world into spider holes. Because if their command and control is in a spider hole, we win. And so that's what I think we can do with our technology, and we can do it better than anybody else.
Still, whether it's General Dunlap's high-tech weapons or Fort Irwin's boots on the ground, there's agreement that counterinsurgencies will continue to be a major focus for the U.S. military in the years ahead.
Now, when we return, we talk to one war hero who sees the military heading down a self-defeating path. As we've seen tonight, the military is changing in ways that challenge our very definitions of warfighting. We met the men at the forefront of that transformation. We met a skeptical Air Force general. And now we turn to one of the leading voices of dissent within the Army, a man who thinks the changes we saw at Fort Irwin could bring America's military dominance in world affairs to an ugly end.
Douglas Macgregor is a warrior and a scholar. He led the soldiers of the 2nd Armored Cavalry to victory in the First Gulf War and got a Bronze Star for it. But he also has a Ph.D. in international relations and has written 2 controversial books on military reform. Colonel Macgregor, now retired, feels that the direction the military is headed today could have dangerous consequences tomorrow.
Does the United States at this moment have a strategic worldview, and are we following that strategy?
Well, that's the $60,000 question, and the answer is no. There is no larger strategic framework that links the use of military power to attainable political military objectives of any kind. We really haven't had any such strategic framework for at least the last 130 years.
In your considered judgment, what should be the purpose of our strategy at this time?
We absolutely must do business with the rest of the world to survive. We have, for the last 200 years, increasingly become the engine of prosperity for the world. In other words, our economy drives the world economy, which is a very good thing. To do that, we have to have access to markets and business. So you maintain forces for the purpose of protecting your commerce and having access to markets and business. This is why the British organized the alliance against Napoleon, who was trying to exclude them from continental Europe. It's ultimately why we opposed communism, because we wanted to open these countries up to make them part of the larger world economy to which we need access. So access, more than anything else, to markets and business drive your interests security-wise. And that says something about the kind of force you want to maintain.
What does it say about the kind of force we want to
We
make?
don't have borders that we need to defend. Our borders are already defended. We're surrounded largely by water. So how do you justify a large land force when there are no enemies impinging on your territorial integrity? You don't, is the answer. You can't maintain a large standing army. You can only maintain enough land power that is required for your ability to periodically intervene for short periods of time to maintain access to markets and business.
At the present time, we have obligations to the defense of Europe, the defense of Israel, the defense of Japan, South Korea. Can we meet our obligations with the size military force that we have now?
Absolutely. There are no large armies mobilizing to invade Central East Europe. The Russians maintain large armies largely because they have very serious enemies to the south and to the east, because they have indefensible borders. We don't face that kind of strategic problem, so there's no requirement for us to do that. There are no large armies mobilizing in Iran about to overwhelm Iraq, contrary to popular belief. There are no armies anywhere in the world today, quite frankly, that present a huge strategic threat to the United States.
How is it that an officer with the kind of combat record that you had winds up having such, what many people would say, such modest goals for the U.S. military?
Well, first of all, I don't think that the United States economy or the society that we maintain is designed to produce exclusively military power. I don't see that territorial conquest has any place in American foreign policy. I think the days when the United States and Great Britain and France and the Netherlands and the Spaniards and others could go into the countries belonging to non-Europeans and essentially occupy them, govern them, and exploit them are over. People are very, very expensive. Every 10,000 troops costs well over $1 billion to maintain. So it would stand to reason that you need to organize this ground force efficiently and effectively so that you get the maximum potential combat power out of it. That's not how we're organized right now. We're still organized as small versions of World War II formations. You've got to be able to cross service lines to get the capabilities that you need when you need them without interference from this enormous service bureaucracy.
Don't we have that now?
No, absolutely not. The services control all of the money. If you want to know who has power in Washington, you ask who's got the money. Anyone who thinks that a senator from Indiana like Evan Bayh, who's a terribly nice guy, is as powerful as Senator Inouye from Hawaii, who sits on the Appropriations Committee, is delusional. Senator Inouye is much more powerful because he controls money. Move to the military. The money resides with the service chiefs. The service chiefs preside over enormous bureaucracies that have grown up over the last 40 or 50 years of the Cold War. They are married to the defense industries. Both have an interest in Congress and appropriating money for the things that the services want, because the services preeminently, like every bureaucracy, are interested in maintaining the status quo.
When it comes to land forces, you're talking about a combined U.S. Army and Marine Corps about the size it is today, which would be what, 700?
About